We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Let your imagination soar with Audible. With stories across every genre, from expert advice to fantasy, you'll be inspired to imagine new worlds, possibilities, and ways of thinking. Listening can even lead to a positive change in your mood, habits, and overall well-being. As an Audible member, you'll get to choose one title a month to keep from their entire catalog, including bestsellers and new releases. Allow yourself to delve into the spooky this season by listening to classics like Stephen King's The Shining and Pet Sematary. There's more to imagine when you listen. New members can try Audible free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/imagine or text imagine to 500-500. That's audible.com/imagine or text imagine to 500-500.
Our friend Beth, who's not here tonight, again on assignment, sent us a recipe this evening.
Oh, Jesus.
Or something called banana herring.
No.
Now, I believe it is a translation because from a German cookbook, because I'm going to read this out loud, and I skimmed it, but then when I started reading it word for word, it really sounded wild. Here are the ingredients. 0.5 deciliters of cream.
Wait.
0.5 deciliters of, yes.
I don't even know that unit of measurement. And a deciliter?
It's a tenth of a liter, but if you're going to say half a deciliter, why don't you just say 5 milliliters then?
I don't
know. So 0.5 deciliters cream, 0.5 deciliters mayonnaise, 1 banana, 1 teaspoon paprika, 1 teaspoon mustard, and 6 herring fillets, preferably aromatic herring. Now, there are very few times I have had herring and I've not called it aromatic.
You're going to get me. I'm going to start yelling about fish.
That's right. You don't fish, do you?
I don't fish. I hate fish. It makes the whole everywhere smell so bad. Obnoxiously Pitt boyfriend likes fish, and it has to be like, you are eating this when I am not home, and then you are opening the windows, because I can he'll have fish and I'll get home and I'll be like, you made fish, didn't you? And he's like, there's no way you can smell that. Reader, I can smell the fish.
I mean, you can't get rid of the fish smell. Like you have to do a lot of effort to get rid of the fish smell. Like Louisiana smells like fish.
Yeah,
at some point, the wind blows the right way. You know, you're like, there's fish out there. Among other smells, but I don't think I've ever had herring. I mean, like, what type of fish is that?
It's a very oily white fish. Okay, and usually pickled. I've had pickled herring a lot.
Okay, I've heard of that. That feels like
when you and I go on our backpack trip to Eastern Europe.
Okay, this feels like Norwegian.
Is that a thing that's happening?
Oh yeah, no, Commish. Because Commish, have you ever been to Europe?
No, I've never been.
Okay, well, Commish and I are going to do a backpack trip across Europe to make up for the time in his 20s when he should have done that. We'll stay in shitty hostels and do the whole real trip.
My only reference point for that is the movie Taken, where they don't get very far in their trip.
No, yes,
they get
we're
taken.
not going to get taken. Don't worry, it's fine.
You mean that Beth and I can't pretend to be Liam Neeson and save you?
Oh, that would be fun.
Oh, Beth has all the knives, so she.
That is true.
Yeah, no, I would just be like the like dorky tech support person in this particular action movie.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't watched Taken in a bit, but I'm trying to remember what band it is that they're like supposed to follow around, where like they throw it out. And I'm like, wait,
band, isn't it?
No, I think it's like a real. I want to say it's like U2 or something, where it's someone that like
Oh, that
really
feels
like
right. That feels right.
like a high school student. Like I think
No
she's either
16-year-old
high
would
school
ever be
or
into. Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, really? Like that's what you want to do? Go to Europe to follow this like band around?
Follow the daddest dad band around. Yeah.
Here's the instructions for banana herring. This is the translation Beth sent us. Stir in mayonnaise, cream, mustard, and paprika together. Mix banana cut into cubes in herring fillets in nice fork. Slice bites and mix them careful into the sauce, or herring strips put on fat and benefit the sauce over.
Did I just have a stroke?
No, I'm reading it word for word.
Who's benefiting from the sauce?
I don't know.
Definitely not us or the
Put strips
listeners.
on fat and benefit the sauce over. Hell yeah. The picture includes a little bit of nice sprigs of parsley, so you can tell it's real fucking 50s and 60s.
Okay, I'm looking at like the herring like location, and I'm like, yeah, I would not be eating this. Just
Oh no, but this is what you eat for breakfast in hostels. You eat like pickled herring on rolls.
oh, okay, whatever. The Baltic Sea is involved. All right, whatever.
This also came up because someone had posted, I think Jane Costin today was talking on Twitter about various things, food crimes of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And since this podcast and the whole Sickos Committee community was built out of food crime, of course we jumped onto it. I am going to make the mayonnaise coleslaw snowman for Christmas this year.
It could be worse. In the scheme of things, that could be worse.
I'm going to use Duke's and try to get a sponsorship on this. Because originally it's from Hellman's. So we're not doing that.
No.
Remind me not to celebrate Christmas with you.
But I made a snowman for you, a gelatin coleslaw snowman.
Do you want to build a snowman?
Not this one.
It doesn't have to be made of coleslaw.
Is that how they're made in Pittsburgh? They're all made of coleslaw and fries.
What food would you most want to make a snowman out of? I feel like a mashed potato snowman would be fun.
On Taskmaster, they made a mashed potato snowman before. Yes.
Ice cream snowman seems like low-hanging fruit, but also delicious.
Yes, that too.
Yeah, I mean, you'd run into the melting problem, but
you run into the melting problem with actual snowmen too.
Did you see the like Netflix has some sort of like snowman rom-com like holiday movie? It's called Hot Frosty because it's like a snowman, but he's a hot guy. And for some reason, Hot Frosty is written in a way that it looks like the Law and Order like title card. There's a lot of decisions that were made.
So I'm envisioning the plot of this movie as being like the classic Campbell soup ad with the kid.
Oh yeah,
except the snowman melts into a hot guy instead of a kid who just wants soup.
No, so it stars Lacey, I think Chabert. I'm not sure how to pronounce.
She was the original Meg Griffin and was in Mean Girls, I believe.
Yes, she's in Mean Girls. She's been in like actual like big budget, like not just like holiday rom-coms. But honestly, the cast looks pretty good. Like Craig Robinson's in it. They clearly have some money behind this. Like this isn't like a Hallmark thing where it's like the same actors that are in all the Hallmark stuff. But here's the about. Widow Kathy magically brings a snowman to life. His innocence helps heal her heart.
Nope. Nope. Welcome, everyone, to the Sickos Committee Podcast. This is our podcast for the evening of November 3rd, 2024. Happy November, y'all.
Yay.
We just got through week 10 of college football, which we're going to talk about amongst other things. As always, I'm Jordan. With me tonight, I have Commish, Pitt Girl. Beth is still on assignment, and Arthur on the ones and twos. Commish, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Just dealing with the fall back. And I am on a mission to reclaim November for Thanksgiving. I have put up 2 giant turkey-based inflatables. One, basically, it is the Happy Harvest tractor with a turkey driving a tractor. It's great. Another one is a turkey, like a 6-foot inflatable turkey with pumpkin pie in one hand and a jack-o'-lantern in the other. We are bringing in a pilgrim hat turkey. I will not let Christmas encroach on eating everything that I love for Thanksgiving.
Pitt Girl, how are you?
I am good. I agree with Commish. I'm here to be a soldier in the war on Christmas.
That's right.
Not that we seek to eradicate Christmas in any way. We love Christmas, but Christmas starts on Black Friday and no earlier. And
right.
I just want it to go back where it came from. It can remain sovereign within its own boundaries,
That's right.
but it needs to stop trying to annex November.
That's right.
That's all.
This is like the NFL trying to claim Thursday night football.
Yes.
You need to. That's it. NFL, get off of Thursday nights. Don't go on Saturdays. Christmas, chill. You can wait till after Thanksgiving. It's fine. Black Friday, you can do it right after Thanksgiving. We just gave thanks, and then we want to like run people over the next day and buy new stuff. So yes,
it's the American way.
It's the American way, and keep it that way. Don't be trying to put like Christmas decorations out before Halloween and stuff. Like you skipping holidays here.
Yeah, I'm not ready to run people over until after I've had my turkey.
That's right. You gotta have the turkey. You need the tryptophan to trip a fan.
So I need to talk about the biggest upset this week first.
Yes.
And this was a midweek game that a lot of folks slept on because it was a D2 midweek game, which means that no one paid attention. But in the GAC, the GAC, which is a D2 conference, the Great American Conference, I believe.
GAC.
The GAC.
GAC.
The GAC. Todd GAC.
0-8 Southern Nazarene beats 8-0 Ouachita Baptist, 18-17. This was huge. This is the same Ouachita Baptist that knocked off #1 Harding a couple weeks ago. And then in Arkadelphia, where Ouachita Baptist is, Southern Nazarene comes in and just knocks their asses over. It was amazing. The fans rushed like an away field. It was great. So this was, percentage-wise, in terms of how far apart the teams are, probably the biggest upset in college football this year so far. Because Vandy, Alabama is huge. Kennesaw State Liberty was big. This is not that. This is way wilder.
And the funny thing about this was Southern Nazarene's 100th win as a program.
Hell yeah.
It was they were 0-8. They tried 8 times before, and then they play the #1 D2 team to get their 100th win.
One in a row.
That's right. I can't even.
And like, what a one in a row.
It's crazy. And then we get tagged in it, of course. And, we I just love shining lights on stuff like this. Like we're putting the light on these things like this. And then everybody's like, what? And it's a lot of fun to do an account this way. And congrats. They got a bevel too, right?
They did.
Sorry.
The Southern Nazarene Crimson Storm, I believe.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. The Crimson Storm. I like that.
Can we just agree that we now have top 10 Deanna? And this is huge. We have 9-win Deanna that became top 10 Deanna today.
That's right.
And that is, I was having this conversation. We can have this conversation in the off season. This might be the best Indiana season ever. Minus the Rose Bowl year, this is a real close second, and depending on how it ends, could be best.
I was going to say, it's too early to say. We are definitely on pace for a very, very top tier Indiana season. I am hesitant to say more about that because we haven't seen how it ends yet, and also I don't want to jinx it.
So the one that we talked about when we did the best season of all time for teams who were below 500 all time on our podcast in the past was 1945 Indiana.
Yes.
And they were 9-0-1. So they were 9-win Indiana. They won the Big Ten. They had one tie. They tied Northwestern 7-7 in the second game of the year, but they won every other game. They romped. And at that time, it was like military-based teams, and Indiana was kind of like the only like fully civilian team
Yes, I
to go
remember that.
undefeated. But they didn't get to go to the Rose Bowl or anything like that
That's
because
when the Big Ten wasn't allowing their teams to go to bowls, I believe.
I think I'm trying to remember exactly what occurred in that they didn't allow it. I think
I
it was
remember
probably the time that the Big Ten was like, we're not doing bowl games or anything like that.
that. Mhm.
But I can't remember exactly where it was, but we have that research somewhere, but I cannot
Oh,
find that.
the,
Right off
the
the top.
research is still on a pile somewhere. Absolutely.
It's in our Google Drive.
This is an absolutely amazing Indiana season. Like, maybe, I don't know. I've been so happy for them. We'll talk about the game later on, but Hoosiers, great year.
I'm sorry. I'm just imagining us hiring an in-house archivist to keep track of our Google Drive. We got piles and piles of stuff in there.
In my Google Drive, Pitt Girl, how many things do you think that are called untitled document?
Too many.
I mean, even on, I'm going to just open up my front page right now. So that's the top 20 docs. How many are untitled document?
All of them, except for the show notes.
Okay, if we're counting show notes, we'll go owned by me.
Owned by you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12?
Yeah, so all of them.
I do have one called Pistol Dueling.
That was your Jordan's Junction or whatever.
That was my Olympics thing. That's right.
The one Patreon podcast you did, yeah, by yourself.
So the other things we need to talk about, we'll dip into FCS for a second. Incarnate Word. 50-yard bomb by Zach Calzada to wide receiver Jalen Walthall. But then the celebration. Jalen Walthall hops on his head and then falls over like a bowling pin. And we love this. Commish, you got lucky because this was on your quad box FCS special that you always throw one on there.
And so, like when I do the quad box, I always like mandatory, like one FCS game is going in the quad box when I'm doing the one through like Apple TV, which is all ESPN games. So I threw the quad box in there, and then, I have like tablets and laptops going to catch other stuff, depending on, if the baby's sleeping or not. But I've been paying attention to Incarnate Word all year because they got snubbed from the FCS playoffs last year when they lost to Southland. They lost one game to Nichols in conference, and they didn't make the playoffs. So I've been watching Incarnate Word, and I wanted to watch them play Houston Christian because Houston Christian was, been a little fighty in the Southland, pulling some minor upsets or playing some close games. And so I'm watching the game. And, it's in the quad box. And then I see Calzada with like a dime, like over like two Houston Christian defenders, right, to Jalen Walthall. And he goes around and he just runs around. I'm like, okay, that was a great play. And then he spins the ball. And then immediately he does, I guess, with like a headstand. So he just, it's like an opposite handstand, but he just does on his helmet and he flops over. And then the ref flags him.
The best part about that was it looked like the ref was like, oh shit, this is amazing. And then remembered, I have to flag this.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, everything else on the quad box, I made this big screen and I'm like, I am taking like an iPhone video with this and I am posting on the timeline because this is ridiculous. And so I was dying because he just did like something ridiculous. And now NFL wide receivers are doing this. Today
Evan Ross St. Brown did it,
and then was it Drake London for the Falcons did it, and so I'm just like, just me having that on the quad box, doing that, and then like Calzada throwing this dime pass, like all the confluence of events happening, the baby napping at the same time, and just getting this video because like Incarnate Word posted the touchdown pass, but didn't say anything about the celebration. And then like I did like the poor amateur like Blair Witch Project iPhone video, and
it's great. It's absolutely great.
When we disappear, you'll just find a bunch of ticket stubs for like the weirdest football game you can possibly think of. I don't need the good quality
video. I'm like, whatever. Like things that go viral on Twitter is like just video, no matter how bad the quality it is. Like if you're taking it with your phone or whatever, it's amazing. And so Jalen does this celebration, and then like the tweet catches fire. I was like, maybe I'll get like 1,000 likes if I'm lucky. And I mean,
can I say what it is right now?
Go ahead.
It is 68,000 likes, 6.3 million views.
Yeah.
Line goes up.
Jesus Christ.
Which is ridiculous. Like I I mean, I've just naturally paying attention to Incarnate Word this year because I love, like, they've been hell bent
They're your
to
local
get back
team.
to the playoffs. And then also, again, I live in San Antonio. I had Incarnate Word and UTSA in the quad box. I had the San Antonio like half quad box, and they kept showing like food in the UTSA game.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And I was
look
like,
really
man,
good.
I was like, ooh, I gotta go there. I gotta get some food. Like, they were toasting the torches. I was like, oh man.
Also, Incarnate Word has like camo end zones for this game too. It's just such
Ooh.
a confluence of everything. It's wonderful.
Everything. Then the ref throwing the flag, I think that's what got everybody so like fired up. Because there was a lot of the quote tweets in the beginning was like, how did the ref flag that? The ref hates fun.
I mean, if the rule of cool is ever going to exist, I think it has to exist for this.
Yes. I don't know if they got
College
flagged in the
has a weird
NFL.
thing. No, in the NFL, that's not a flag.
They
That's
didn't
not a
get a
flag
flag
in the NFL.
but the
In
Southland
college, that's a
Conference,
flag.
we can't stand for headstands or like helmet stands or whatever you want to call this celebration.
It's so good. Art But Make It Sports did a great job at this too.
Oh
Did some
man.
of my favorite. I forget the artist. He did a lot of the graffiti work back from the 90s. The minute he posted it, I knew it was going to be because that's how in my head too. This is great. We're so happy that this sort of blew up because it is absolutely hilarious. And again, I don't know if the NFL like picked it up in a day, but it feels like it did.
I honestly, I don't know if this was the first one ever, but this is the first one I've ever seen. And, you know, just shout out to Incarnate Word. Shout out to, Calzada for throwing the pass, Jalen catching it, doing that celebration. The Incarnate Word folks, like social media, Southland Sports, doing all of this. Like, I don't know if he's in trouble with the coach, but, I don't know.
Their coach is like 25 years old. He's going to be so happy about this.
The coach is like, you went viral. Like, I'm sure it's going to be used against Jalen in practice if he makes a mistake. All right, viral man.
Yeah, of course.
Don't be slacking on your routes. Jalen, look out at practice.
The funniest part is that it's a lot of the big articles have been covering this are not connecting it back to us. Of course not. But anyways,
it's fine.
It's fine. We're just happy to get that out there. The other thing about that was that we also got video from someone in the end zone, and then Incarnate Word finally released a 4K version of it that wasn't just Commish's like.
I was so excited about the 4K version. Like so we've talked, I think, on the show before about how we all have both Twitter accounts on our phones, and Twitter is not great as an app anymore. And so I usually have my personal Twitter account open, but sometimes I'll get notifications for the other account, even though I'm signed into it, but it's not open. That was one of the ones that came through for me. And I was like, okay, I'm retweeting this like right now, like now.
We talked last week about Snapdragon Stadium where San Diego State plays. We were mentioning how bad the field looked to us. Like it was so sandy.
It was incredibly sandy.
Literally this same week, we had an announcement. I'll read the tweets. Quote, sources, match was previously scheduled for Snapdragon Stadium in San Diego. Due to player well-being and safety regarding field conditions, the game has been moved after working with the league and the NWSL Players Association to find a suitable option in the area. This was Racing at Louisville FC and what's the other team that was playing there?
The San Diego team. The Wave.
San Diego. I forgot the name of that.
The Wave.
The Wave, right?
Yeah, the Wave. Yes.
Yeah.
And so they usually play at Snapdragon Stadium, but they moved it for this because of that very reason. I am glad that women's sports teams are finally being allowed to say things like this because I remember whole World Cups where this was an issue and we just didn't say shit. So I'm glad this is becoming a bigger thing. But yeah, apparently it's not just us that noticed that stadium wasn't doing so hot with the field. I think Snapdragon Stadium released a whole thing about it.
Yeah, like they're really trying to get their money's worth in terms of hosting sporting events at that stadium, right? Because like, I mean, you know that they built it for San Diego State football, but they have a bunch of other tenants now. I think they're picking up another one. So that's just a ton of wear and tear. I mean, I feel like
they're picking up the MLS team and whenever that starts.
Like, I feel like they need to figure out how to do that thing that that they do in Vegas, where it's like we got the nice grass and like the other grass as well. Like we can swap them out because I mean, at a certain point, like we see this at Heinz Field, which just has
Yes.
2 football teams. Which, I mean, when you talk about soccer, like soccer teams play more frequently than football teams do. So, I mean, this is a lot of wear in this.
Is Heinz Field
particular stadium.
actual grass?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
why
fun.
it consistently looks like shit, like about this weekend or the next weekend,
Yeah.
because they play
Walk on that
the
field. How did I not notice this? I guess I didn't pay
Well,
attention.
yeah, it's real grass. They also play the Whitfield Finals in Heinz Field, so that's like the Allegheny County high school and like surrounding area high school football championship. And they play like it's like this weekend or next weekend in November. They play those games Thursday and Friday, and then usually Pitt has a home game. And for whatever reason, the Steelers often end up also at home. By the end of the weekend, it's just mud. Like between the hashes, it's all just mud, and it looks like shit.
Okay. The actual statement, I will read part of it here from Snapdragon Stadium. We are disappointed with the National Women's Soccer League's decision to move Sunday's match from Snapdragon Stadium. Although we recognize the aesthetics of the field do not meet our desired expectations, we are confident in our readiness to play a match on Sunday in safe conditions. Several factors, including high demand for field use and weather, have affected the turf, but we are dedicated to investing resources, specialized expertise, and advanced technology to address these challenges going forward. Sure. Arthur, do you want to plug Motorsports Twitter?
Yeah, just because I know people are gonna. I know we have some listeners who are gonna say like, oh, like, do you have anything to say about the finish of the NASCAR race today? And I will simply say that I've written out a series of tweets. You can go follow our Twitter that we have now that is just for motorsports. So I don't clog up the main feed with bunch of random stuff about racing. But I have tweeted most of my thoughts there. Here, I will just say that.
What is that account, Arthur?
I was gonna say,
it is, I believe, at Too Fast Too Sickos.
Thank you. Yes.
So the only statement I'll make here is that NASCAR got the finish that they deserved.
Okay. Dig it. We'll rewind the clock a little bit, like we did. We'll fall back. We'll go back to Wednesday. Talk about 2 games shortly.
We're going like beep.
Jacksonville State 31, Liberty 21. Kennesaw State Liberty.
yeah, they did.
Rich Rod wins this one. God bless.
Yeah, good for Jacksonville State. Also, thank you to both Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State from freeing us from the tyranny of having to think about playoff liberty.
It makes it a lot easier not to do
not
that.
something any of us wanted to think about. Now we don't. Now we really don't have to.
Auburn head coach Jamie Chadwell. Okay, think about that for a little bit. Someone mentioned that today, and my brain sort of broke at that one.
Oh, you go back to the Liberty well?
Yeah, I'm right, and that's where I'm like, like if he were still at Coastal right now, sure, but like,
Western Kentucky 31, Kennesaw State 14.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but like, I wanted to go back to the Rich Rod win because it was I made a like innocent, I guess, like skeet on Blue Sky about this.
an innocent
Don't ever call it that. God, no. From the windows.
From the window to the
into
wall.
the
All right.
walls.
Well, I mean, this kind of plays into like the Rich Rod.
Innocent skeet is when they play that song at like a middle school dance.
It's the Kids Bop version.
Oh, my best friend's call.
So I was like the game, Rich Rod's Gamecocks are up like 14-7. And then, Blue Sky got a little, in the replies, he kept making, Gamecock references and, like, well, getting it up is never going to be the problem. Keeping it up. And so we just kept, I was like, fine, I'm just going to keep going down this road. Rich Rod's still up. Keep going up. Whatever. They're still up over 4 hours. I think we're going to have to consult a doctor.
Great weekend for Cox. Great weekend for Cox.
Great weekend for Gamecocks.
Western Kentucky 31, Kennesaw State 14. Western Kentucky is now bowl eligible, and they've had quite a bowl eligible streak. This is good for them.
Big Red and Flow Rider.
That was hell yeah. On
That
stage.
Is amazing.
As a great example of why this sport is amazing and will never be topped.
And also doing the the obstructed view alert with our good friend Michael. Yes.
Mike Barker, the CFB campus tour, Big Red did the obstructed view, like celebrity obstructed view.
Good posture.
It's amazing. Like I'm so happy that like he's been going to visit these stadiums for years, and now he's starting to get got an ESPN article. He's got he had the calendar last year, which I have a copy of that. He's signing autographs for stuff like that. So I'm glad he's getting recognized.
He's at Arthur levels of well known. Arthur was signing autographs too.
Yeah, true.
What do you say, Arthur?
I just want to say, like a off season, put a pin in this. Assigning a South Florida based rapper to every Conference USA team.
Yeah. Sure.
I'll put it in the ideas channel.
I mean, we got 2 already. I mean, you got Pitbull.
That's what I'm saying. We got to start.
Yeah. And Flow Rider.
We're going to rapidly get lower down in terms of people that people have heard of. But, I'm excited to say that a Conference USA team is Stitches.
I mean, Trick Daddy's got to be involved.
Tulane 34, Charlotte 3 on Halloween. Tulane fucked around for a little bit, but they took care of it. Tulane remains 5-0 in the American. Excellent costume game by Charlotte. The Charlotte versus Spider-Man. I really enjoyed some A-Fluff Biff costumes.
Yes.
Great.
Good stuff. I want to give a shout out to Coach John Summerall for Tulane.
Best interview.
Awesome interview. But I want to say that Tulane had a drive, the longest scoring drive of the week. 20 plays, 80 yards, field goal drive, 10 minutes and 58 seconds to go up 3-0, their first drive of the game. The interview with Harry Lyles, John Summerall, it says, what do you want to see out of your team coming up in the fourth quarter? And he just goes, touchdowns. Touchdown. And I'm like, yes. Like, I was thinking,
and then he looked at Harry like, what the fuck do you want me to say?
Touchdown. And then he started singing like the song on the PA. I don't even know who.
Oh yeah, he was like, "This song's fucking great. Listen,
this song's great, man." PA. And then he catches the ball on the sideline, and like the whole team's like, "Yeah," hyping him up, and he's like, "No, we got like 10 minutes left to go in the game here."
When he caught the ball on the sideline, he was okay with it. When Lane Kiffin caught the ball on the sideline, he looked like he was about to murder Jackson Dart. Harry Lyles Jr. also was interviewing Mike Myers too, which is funny.
Yes, Harry Lyles Jr. trying to interview Michael Myers' costume in the Charlotte stands was kind of frightening. I'm glad Harry's still okay. Have we seen him lately just to confirm he's okay?
No, I haven't. I saw a Sonic commercial today, so maybe.
Okay, he's probably fine.
Okay, so let's push the button and go to our games of the week. We said our game of the week was Northwestern at Purdue, and ladies and gentlemen, this one delivered. There was free football in West Lafayette, and the general response to our tagline was, I didn't ask for this.
Too bad.
Thank you. I did not want extra football here. It was 2020.
The college football gods, which are the same as the Popeyes gods, have decided that even though you did not order extra Northwestern Purdue, that is what you need today. So that's what we got.
I don't want this. Thank you.
I love this because somebody in our Discord, I think it was he's Colorado Mines, School of Mines fan. I think it's JP, and basically said, I love that everybody on my timeline was like yelling about Ohio State, Penn State, and you guys are talking about Monmouth and Purdue and Northwestern.
Mm-hmm. Monmouth was a feisty one.
Monmouth and Rhode Island was a fantastic game, by the way. Shout out to Rhode Island. So I love this game. The main thing from this game, it goes to OT. There's really not too any craziness. It goes to OT. And this is how it basically goes down for Purdue. Purdue had the ball first in OT. He starts at 25, right? So they get it to 4th and 6 on the 21-yard line. Purdue's like, I'm not kicking the field goal because they're going
for this. We're going for this.
And, again, there was a pass, and, I mean, there could have been interference, which I kind of originally thought it was interference, but then there was a flag, but it was a dead ball, unsportsmanlike conduct, which basically meant that Purdue failed on 4th down, but Northwestern gets that enforced on their own, like OT possession. So instead of starting at the 25, Northwestern are starting at the 40. So they got to get 40 to get any sort of point. So maybe the gamble by Ryan Walters like paid off, and they'll get out of it. No, 2 plays later, Northwestern scores a touchdown like at ease, like the easiest thing to do. Northwestern wins. One thing that Coach Walter said after this game is that they felt they had a better win probability instead of kicking the field goal and going for the win, because Northwestern still wins with a walk-off touchdown in the second position, but it felt weird, like, to do that. This kind of felt like I decided, like, what happened. I didn't want to make any judgment on it, and I thought about it after a day and after his press conference. And you got a freshman kicker that is gonna kick like a 39-yarder in OT. Sure, they make it, but again, Northwestern still wins. They still hold the cards. Essentially, they know what they got to do since they played defense first.
Right.
So I don't know how Purdue fans feel about that, because like the timeline, the
Purdue fans don't feel anything right now. They're
numb, but it's just like
dead on this.
It's kind of a weird thing. Like, hey, we're gonna go for it, because even if we do kick the field goal, it's like, yeah, that's nice, but we still gotta stop them from scoring a touchdown. And then you go to double OT. Yeah, I don't know. I'll just let it ride. Whatever. That's fine with the call if that's what the analytics said. Sure.
The best part was that Northwestern fans weren't happy with this win either. No one was happy with this game. Everyone was just like, nope, I don't like this at all.
This is like, we did not want OT. And I'm like, hey, there's a reason we made it Sicko's game of the week.
You're going to eat your oatmeal and you're going to like it.
You're going to like it. Big Ten
it's
West
good
forever,
for
man.
You.
That's right.
South Florida 44, FAU 21. Game doesn't matter. What happened with the handshake? Because at the end, they go for the handshake. Golish pushes away. Tom Herman chases him down.
So what happened is Golish emphatically and just really, really aggressive handshake, whatever, get out of my face. We just won 44-21. And so Herman, then he starts chasing him, hey, don't you do this, and I'm like, okay. Then Tom Herman's wife comes in, which Stephen Godfrey pointed out that Herman's wife came in towards the very end of it, because he was about to go back again, and his wife was like, no, and shut it down. And so there was bad blood last year when FAU beat USF in Tampa 56-14. They kicked an onside kick when they're up 56-14.
I remember this.
And then now Golish went for 2 late, and somebody said he went for 2 late because he couldn't go for 3 late.
Okay.
So then that happened, and then that led to the handshake. And then, again, I'm gonna say South Florida fans are like, it's not a rivalry. It's not a rivalry. If these two coaches stay around, which I don't know if Tom is going to be staying around for much longer.
I think this is not going to be an issue, because I don't think Tom Herman's going to be there next year.
Maybe it's there. And then South Florida was like, we were called South Florida because we were the first universities, established the southern part of Florida.
They came after you, Pitt Girl.
Yeah.
They came after you.
They can come after me all they want. One of us knows how to read a fucking map.
They're
quoting Wikipedia at us. And
I don't care. Okay. Tampa is definitionally not in South Florida.
Hey, you remember when Tom Herman was the head coach at Texas?
Yes.
Yeah, things have changed since then, haven't they?
Just a little bit.
Okay, cool. Hook 'em.
Okay, cool. Hook 'em.
FAU, man, it's really interesting. Their past few coaches have all been guys who had flamed out at Power 5, and at the times that they hired all of them, I think it was, and Lane Kiffin, for what it's worth, did work out, but they hired Willie Taggart, now they've hired Tom Herman. Well, they hired him a couple of years ago, but when those happened, I was like, okay, I can see that, because I do think that they kind of got a raw deal at the Power 5 school that they were coaching at. Yeah. But man, that just hasn't worked. It just hasn't worked, I think, they would have hoped.
I had to quickly look where Willie Taggart is right now. He's the running backs coach for the Ravens. Sure.
Maybe it's the Boca Raton rehabilitation home, or the retirement home that they're trying to get him back. Hey, we're gonna give him a chance there. Come back out, coach.
No income tax.
True. So really, I don't know what's going on at FAU. I am sure they want it to be better. I don't know. I think Herman's been there for 3 years. This is third year?
Yeah,
Nah, this is second or third.
Second?
And I guess too, if you look at like FAU history, right? Like their probably best coach, like in school history, is also someone who took it as, you know, like a retirement job after
You're
coaching.
talking about Schellenberger or Kiffin?
I'm talking about
Well,
Schellenberger. I would
Okay,
not call
'cause
Lane
I-
Kiffin their greatest coach.
I-
He was
I'd
there for like
argue
3
at-
years.
I know, but I'd still argue that Lane's probably their best coach in terms of like what they did while they
Whose
were
name
there.
is on the field?
Yeah, true. Mitsu 20, UTEP 13. JP Pickles the second was in but couldn't make it happen. This game got lost in the shuffle at like 2:30. Man, this is why I know Conference USA games on Tuesday nights suck for fans, but for people watching the games, I can keep my eyes on it. It doesn't get lost that way. So sorry, like this one got lost for me. I didn't catch much of this one.
I love that CBS like sports network. They're just they tweeted like JP Pickles, and I'm like, all right, fine. We talk about JP Pickles. They were like fishing for like and I'm like, all right, let's go JP Pickles. Let's go.
They were
That's fine.
fishing for anything.
Yeah, they were like, please, somebody pay attention to this game. I'm like,
I'm
that's
happy to
us.
pay attention to Pickles as one of the Yinzer correspondents here.
Jonathan Patrick Pickles II.
That's
right.
amazing.
Always. Yes. He's from Tallahassee. We've went over this before. I remember all
Yes,
this
we
now.
have.
Okay.
That's right. All the pickles.
Wyoming 49, New Mexico 45. Holy shit. Some fun facts here, folks. Wyoming yards 604. New Mexico yards 576.
Woo!
Wyoming first downs 30. New Mexico first downs 22. Wyoming time of possession 37 minutes. Wyoming ran the ball and ran it so much. It was 35-35 at the half. I would like to read the first half drive chart. Touchdown,
Go right
touchdown,
ahead.
touchdown, touchdown, punt. Touchdown, 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 punt, punt, touchdown, 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 end of half. That's 3 punts and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 touchdowns.
Why is it giving Morse code?
It feels that way. ... dash.
Yeah, ...
Touchdown,
Stop.
touchdown, punt, stop.
This was fireworks like you would not believe. Amazing game. This is exactly what I wanted from this game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to New Mexico at San Diego State on the sand field coming up this week.
That's going to be
Oh
just
my
an
God.
absolute
shout out to
fight. God.
shout out to Devin Dampier, who had like 400 plus, almost 500 yards himself in the air and running. Had really 2 costly turnovers. One was a pick 6, and then there was one where he was dancing in the the pocket and just ran out of time and like a strip sack, and Wyoming was able to run out the clock. And there was a sad Lobos fan that I had to tweet on that, but
It was sad.
2 sad Lobos fans. But electric game. Sorry you had to lose it in New Mexico. Congrats to you, Wyoming.
In the rivalry, TCU 34, Baylor 37. Baylor kicks a field goal as time expires to win this. Dave Aranda got some cojones on him on this one.
I'm gonna give you like this call. This is like really tough situation here because it's 4th and 9. You're around the TCU 42 or 43 with about like 16 seconds left. TCU has a timeout. TCU still has a timeout. So I'm like, okay, you go for it in this case and you miss it. You go for it and you miss it. Now TCU has the ball with like maybe essentially like 1 or 2 plays to get into field goal range or Hail Mary range. So this was a gutsy call, and they get the first down. And then they do like a run, and the run like just basically pushed the pile for like 6 seconds. And then we're like, okay, you need to get down.
Just shove the pile.
Like 13 yards, and they got closer, and they made the kick, and they walked it off. 10 years later to the date that they walked it off, 61-58.
Baylor running back Bryson Washington, 196 yards, 4 TDs, 9.5 yards per carry. Holy shit. This game is always weird. I was sitting next to Baylor fan and alumnus Shahan Jaraja at the SMU game, and he was there apparently in his work chat. Lots of TCU fans talking shit. Colorado State 38, Nevada 21. I gotta play the clip for everyone.
I love this.
Set me up. Hey, Commish, I see you got a clip here. Set this clip up for us while I'm doing this.
All right, so Colorado State has just scored, and they're kicking the ball off to Nevada, and Nevada's ready to set to return the kick, and here we go.
Here we go.
Schedule with Wyoming, Fresno State, Utah State after this matchup against
the
Nevada, and right now
it looks like it's going to be a touchback,
that ball rolls
but unfortunately, no.
That's a live ball, and that's a touchdown for Colorado State.
Oh wow!
Oh no! Disaster!
Well, hold up. What a bad idea! Jordan, don't advance the clip. Can we take a second to talk about, I guess this is a beverage cart. What's up with the beverage situation here at the bottom by the scoreboard? Do you see this? Are we all seeing this?
Like, I see all these beverages. Yeah.
Like field level beverage kiosk that's got like a whole bunch of different beers.
It's Reno, baby.
I'm into that.
Okay, I see Aquafina. Looks like
Dasani.
There's
some, I'm guessing.
Yeah, we got Pepsi products. Tea. We got Budweiser, we got Bud Light, we got Lagunitas IPA.
That's
Twisted
definitely
tea,
Twisted Tea. Yeah.
I think.
Ultra. Michelob Ultra.
Good choices.
Yeah. Colorado State fans, tell us how much those cost. We want to know.
Well, I mean, it was in Reno, so.
Oh, sorry.
We'll do that.
Whatever.
That puts Colorado State up 27-0. I'm sorry, 28-0 because they went for 2. They wound up hanging on to win 38-21 after that error, which I don't know how that happens, but it's like you rarely see a fumble recovery that like a live ball recovery in the end zone. Like you don't see that too often.
That is the couple of times that happens, and people just forget that punts and kickoffs are 2 different plays.
Yeah,
and I can see how you would forget that. Like you're back there, your brain just is like, okay, here's what I do, right? And those are 2 very different plays with very different sets of rules. Mm-hmm. Some of my favorite NFL plays are when like people just forget that.
Mm-hmm.
Pitt Girl, do you know what happened to Tulsa UAB?
No. I mean, I saw that. That's one of the ones where like I'm out here flipping channels. I was hate watching the Penn State game, et cetera, et cetera. And this score goes by at whatever time I'm watching the game, and I'm just over here like, Tulsa, are you okay? Like, are you okay? Because you're not okay.
UAB 59, Tulsa 21.
What do you have to do to let UAB score 59 points on you?
So I turned this on when it was, I think,
45-0?
No. I turned it on in the first half, and it was like 21-0 UAB, and I was
like,
"What?" And so that I had to figure out what was going on. And so UAB, the quarterback, it basically is just they're throwing like these deep crossing routes in the middle, and the Tulsa secondary was just not communicating when they switched, and so like one UAB person just wide open every single time when they would do it. They just kept doing the same thing over and over again, and so you're like almost hitting like these double slants, but they're like at a little bit different levels at like 10 to 15 yards, and then they hit the 15-yarder, and then he's free. He's running the whole field. It's just split like they were going through the eye of the Golden Hurricane.
This is why you fire coaches before they can do this shit. You don't give them the chance to do things like this. Anyways. Mississippi State 45, UMass 20. It got out of hand.
Yes.
I had a lot of fun with the first like 20 real-time minutes of this game though, because for a hot second, UMass was up something like 10-0. And I was like, I believe. I watched more of this game than a lot of people would have, given that the Penn State Ohio State game was on at the same time, because I was like, you know what, UMass? I believe in you. I do.
Mississippi State got lucky that no one was watching this that early.
Yeah.
There was thing.
Well, I think there may have been more people watching this than you might expect, solely because it was that like 12:45 SEC
it was a
Network
weird
game.
SEC.
Yeah, so that was part of why I watched as much of it as I did, because everything else was at halftime.
I don't know if this was true, but I did see videos allegedly of Mississippi State recruits decommitting in the stands.
I also saw that video.
I saw that, and they're zooming in on this gentleman's phone, which is a clear invasion of privacy, and
that we do not endorse here at the Sickos
we
Committee.
do not
Don't be weird.
endorse stuff like that. Which, I mean, I've seen like videos where this person's text is just way too big on their phone, and it's just like you can't help but see. But this was like you had to like zoom in to see this font. This is a little
Computer
bit too much.
enhance.
I'm gonna start sitting in the stands of bad games and just tweeting that out and see if people will like see videos of me tweeting out decommissions from my phone. He looks a little old, but I don't know.
I'm a little old. He's got maybe he's an Australian punter. Jordan, the Australian
you don't
punter.
know. Good day, mate.
Good day. Good day, Starkville.
Good day.
Your Australian is maybe worse than Beth's Cajun.
That is true, and that's impressive.
Oh, were you trying to do Australian there?
I was trying.
Oh boy, that's not good.
Wackadoo!
Yeah, I would think that you've watched enough Bluey by now that your Australian would be better.
I would think it would be much better.
My kiddo said "or nor" the other day, and I was like, "No, we're not doing "or nor." "Or nor."
Listen, if there's one terrible accent that I can kind of try to do, maybe it's Australian. I don't know.
Oh, that wasn't bad.
That wasn't terrible.
Nice, huh?
When we go to Pro Kick Australia one of these days, Arthur, I need to make sure that you say hello like that.
I'm gonna take a 20-hour flight to say good day.
Oh God, it's embarrassing. I think to say it directly to someone who's actually Australian, but
yeah,
you're there and you're just gonna slip in the accent. We all do that.
Occasion Australian.
No.
I want to. Oh my God.
No, I think it's just because there's enough Australian race car drivers, so I do hear it a lot.
Commish, what did you say this game was gonna be?
So I said that the game is going to be like really unhappy and it's going to wind up like 49-17.
You were really close.
It's 45-20. So I was like, and nobody's happy about it.
It's within the margin of error. I think we can call that a polling hit for you.
Okay.
Stanford 28, NC State 59. Stanford, you're just having all sorts of rough times here on that East time zone. It's not great.
Wake Forest needed a friend.
Yeah. And congrats. You're now West Coast Wake. Is that what you wanted? Is that what you really were aiming for here?
There's a tree in your logo.
Yeah, see? Tree, forest.
Forest.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I had no clue where you were connecting that. Okay. That makes sense. I had no clue.
You mean to tell me that Jordan didn't see the forest for the tree?
That's right. Hey!
I was just gonna yes and you and like bowl through it because I was like, I have no clue where the fuck he's going with this.
I'll be here all week.
NC State set a score ACC scoring record in this with their new friend Stanford. The third quarter here, right?
The third quarter. So I have this game on the quad box for a bit because I had another game on, and in this game, there was like a weather delay. I can't remember which one. There was so many weather delays, and so I had this game on, and it's 31-14 at halftime. So I was like, okay, maybe I change it. Then I was like, first drive, Stanford 48-yard touchdown run. I'm like, it's 31-21. I'm like, okay, and then NC State was like, no, 9-yard touchdown run, 52-yard touchdown run, 94-yard touchdown run. It's 52-21. And then like a 5-yard touchdown pass. And I'm just like, it's 59-21. And Ole Miss is like competing with NC State at the same time, just scoring so many points. And so they're just going back and forth. I'm like, NC State has 59. Ole Miss has 56. They're not playing each other. I just want to let you know this.
Auburn 7, Vanderbilt 17.
Thank you, Diego. I love you.
Diego Pavia is now 3-0 against Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze will close his eyes at night and see Diego Pavia's face for the rest of his goddamn life.
Can you spell out Diego's name but put a 3-0 in there? Like do a backwards E?
Yeah, I can
for like
Diego.
DI3G0.
Zero, yeah.
That's it. If you could make that for me, that'd be great.
That'd be idea for me.
If you do it in all caps and you make the like sticky any part of the G fat. You even got the like dash in there.
Yes, that's. I just want that Diego, and then we could just. He follows the committee, and we follow him, of course. I
We like
wanted to
Diego
say,
Pavia before he was cool.
yes, we did. So
Well, it was before he was God's chosen soldier.
Well,
Because
no.
now
He's been God's chosen soldier the whole time. We've just been following his rise since when he was just like a little itinerant
he
football
rose.
player.
He rose from the crosses of Las Cruces.
Yeah.
how many crosses were there? 3? How many wins did he have? 3? Boom.
There it is.
The best part was on the field. Vanderbilt did not treat this like they had just taken down a giant SEC team. It was just like, wait, 17-7, good win. It felt like they had just beaten like Eastern Kentucky. Like this is like their FCS win. Like, hey, you know what? Good job, held it.
I mean, they did celebrate. Like, I guess maybe they were celebrating more bowl eligibility than they were specifically celebrating beating Auburn. But they did celebrate with Sprite.
They did. They were shining Sprites on TikTok.
Yeah, or Instagram Live, right?
Commish, did you get in there and start slamming the button of like, let me join this? I want to host this thing. Come on.
No, I don't know. No, I'm not doing that. I was at the Southland Conference Media Days, and they were doing an Instagram Live, and they're like, "You want to get on the camera?" I'm like, "No, get me out of here."
Auburn fans are so ridiculously down bad right now. They're ready to toss that asshole into the ocean.
Yes. I would like to take this moment to appreciate the guy who showed up in my mentions Saturday afternoon when I was watching this game, and the broadcast reminded me that not only is Hugh Freeze the head coach at Auburn, but I had memory hold the fact that DJ Durkin is the defensive coordinator. And I acknowledge that I had memory hold this and say, you know, I need to adjust my slogan to fire those motherfuckers. And Auburn fan shows up into my mentions and he's like, you know, the defense is actually doing pretty well today. And I'm like, okay, you must be new here. Not the point, but okay. And fortunately for me, this guy was like, you know what? Yeah, I think you're right. Okay.
We have the most reasonable Auburn fans in our mentions. I will say this.
They are out there.
They are out there.
Yeah.
They understand that this is not going well. And I'm convinced that most of them, even if it were going well, they would not be okay with this.
This is one of those like hires where, you know, there's just an entire mess in like the booster world. The Brian Harsin hire got an AD fired. I mean, there's
now Pitt AD, by the way.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. So
Brian Harsin, Pitt Panthers head coach.
No, Night Deuce is fine.
Yeah,
still.
We like the Night Deuce. He's out here in his Apple car.
Deuce is doing great this year. So
Night Deuce did not go so well in the humid Texas weather. We'll talk about that later.
We'll get there.
Yes. I mean, do you know Hugh Freeze's record as head coach at Auburn?
Worse than Brian Harsin's.
Do you know what it is?
Is it 500? Is it 500?
No, he's 9-13.
Ayo!
Is that the backwards good score?
The good score reveals itself to it. Wisconsin 10, Iowa 42. Okay, listeners, you're already on this with us, but we're going to stop this thing. If you want to make jokes about Iowa taking a while to get into gear, great. We talked about that. They are the diesel engine that takes a while.
Right.
But it's the 4th game this season Iowa's gone over 40 points. It's the third major opponent, we'll say. It was their FCS game went over 40 as well. In every game Iowa's won this season, they've scored over 30. And are they doing it with a passing attack? Fuck no. If they pass 12 times a game, it's dicey. They're just running at people, which is what they want to do. Iowa is doing the thing they want to do, the way they want to do it, and they're no longer shackled by just a subpar, I'm not going to blame one person, but a subpar side of the ball. They are now matching good defense with an offense that is like a sledgehammer, and they're watchable.
They're playing actual complementary football. Imagine that.
Imagine if Iowa had discovered this offense when the Big Ten West was still a thing.
Oh, like championship on championship. They'd be in that title game every time.
To be fair, they still caught them on the Big Ten West no matter what.
But they could have maybe won a Big Ten championship with this.
I mean, they wanted to win
with
2 sickos.
With last year's defense and this offense, they have a good shot at the playoffs.
I mean, I don't know that necessarily. I mean, because the Big Ten, maybe I'm just going to talk about the Big Ten real quick here, but the Big Ten, it's kind of struck me as like the gap between like teams we have to consider for the playoff, teams we have to think about and talk about, and teams that are just nowhere near the conversation. Like it's so clearly delineated, right? Like there's four teams, right? There's Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana, and Penn State, where it's like, oh yeah, like these are the good teams, and there's such a clear gap between them and like everyone else.
I'd
Like,
argue that there's a gap between Penn State and those top three teams.
I mean, you could argue that, but then there's definitely a gap between the Penn
Yes.
States of like it's just fun because I was just trying to think like like without the Big Ten West there is less of a I've maybe not less of a competition in terms of like getting to the end, right? Because I guess we do have theoretically four teams for two spots at this point, but like there's not that same sense of here's a really competitive, compelling division race that doesn't really mean too much because they're going to have to play, the Big Ten East champ.
Right.
It's, I don't know, just compared to like, for example, the SEC where it feels like every team has two losses and
The
it's
SEC
just
is
like
an
a weird
Ouroboros
logjam.
right now. It is eating itself alive, which is what.
Great for strength of schedule.
Well, the Big 12 was doing that. We expected them to do that. I did not expect the SEC Ouroboros to quite kick into gear like this.
Well, but the SEC Ouroboros is like kind of a low-key a thing most years, but when the SEC does it, it means everyone's good.
Right. As opposed to everyone's mid. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, I feel like the Big Ten, because I was just thinking like, what would things look like if we hadn't had realignment and we, like we had like previous year's rules, right? Because one thing, like I've just been thinking because there's so many teams that don't play each other
Mhm.
now, where you kind of think like, oh, like they should have played each other, and then we would have some resolution on this, right? Like
Mhm.
it, it feels weird to say this, but like Penn State and Indiana in the old system, like they would have played.
Mhm.
And it's weird to say now that like, oh, we're missing the Penn State Indiana data point. But
But it's
like,
This
true.
year, it's a pertinent data point.
yeah, even if like divisional schedules were not always balanced, right? Like obviously there was a big difference between playing in say the Big Ten East and the Big Ten West. They still functioned sort of as like eliminations, I guess, where like even though let's say the second best Big Ten East team would probably beat the best Big Ten West team, we didn't really need to worry about that because we really only cared about who the best team was in terms of the postseason. And so, I'm thinking like, man, it's funny to think about how like just irrelevance in terms of the playoff conversation has changed with, the realignment, the expansion. And there's teams that we used to have to pay attention to that maybe we don't. And there's teams that we get to pay attention to now that in the past we would have probably written off.
The divisions. They got rid of the divisions, and this is what happens. The only one true conference with divisions is the Sun Belt.
And the SCIAC, Surf and Sun.
Well, yes, there are other conferences with divisions. The Sun Belt, like, I think that there's, it's a little bit jumbled right now in terms of teams beating each other.
Oh, that's
But-
just Sun Belt's a mess right now. Yes.
I think when we get to the end, like the Sun Belt champion will be a fairly like, oh yeah, sure, that makes sense. Just because there aren't that many, there aren't way too many teams. Like it's gonna the SEC and the Big Ten especially, like it's gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a
Well-
mess.
We'll do our ad read now. As always, on Saturdays, listen to the College Football Blitz free on the Varsity app. It is College Football Red Zone radio. So they shoot you across the country to all the games that are going on where the fun stuff is. So that means that you get to follow it while you're on the road. If you check out our thread where we post it every Saturday, you will see that we have a koozie giveaway in that thread if you post a picture of where you're listening to the Blitz, whether you're apple picking or heading to a game or wherever you're doing. So follow that, check that out, and listen for our shoutouts for weird score alerts, safeties, and punts. Check out our link tree on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky for various discounts. Join our Patreon for $5 a month. Get access to our Discord, which includes weekly ratings debates, live chat during games, get to see the inner workings, help us do some research. Also get access to our paywall Substack posts and, our Patreon exclusive podcasts. We will have more Commish's Corner going out. One just dropped, and I will have more edited this week, Commish, so you can drop them over the next couple weeks.
Awesome. Should be fun. I think I had like 4 in the bank. I'm working on a 5th to add one more into the podcast bank.
And Beth and I, once she comes off of assignment, we'll have ours to break it up too.
Oh, yeah.
We can alternate. Our merch store, right now, our big thing at sickosme.org is our Sickos stand little person for your desk. We are doing pre-orders right now. We are almost at our pre-order threshold. So please check that out and get those pre-orders in if you would like one. They will make excellent desk things, maybe a wedding cake topper. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, we're I'd say we're about 60% to our goal.
Yep.
And so we're going to keep it going through the 8th. If we're going to try to get to 100. So I think we're around 60 some odd pre-ordered. Honestly, this thing is great, and it's an awesome stand, and don't miss out. You're going to have, you're going to regret it if you didn't purchase one and pre-order one. So we're pretty much getting there. We're going to keep bugging you throughout the week for it, and hopefully order one, because it's going to be the hottest Christmas gift going around.
Check out our YouTube, our Instagram, our Twitch, our Substack. Shout out Message Board Geniuses podcast. They go to places we refuse to go. And as always, Home Field, the softest, comfiest licensed collegiate apparel. I see a Temple hoodie. Commish, I saw a Tulane shirt, I believe. Yep. Arthur's taking his clothes off. He has the North Florida Osprey shirt. And I'm wearing my Tulane hoodie.
Oh, yeah. Double Tulane on the pod.
Right now is the best time to pick up a hoodie. These hoodies are so soft. I basically live in mine. I've slept in mine several times because they're so comfy.
I'm going to say this. The joggers and hoodie, when we were without power in 2021, the Home Field Tulane joggers and hoodie, and I had layers on underneath, but they kept me alive through without power in the crazy, and I was comfortable the whole time. It was great, even though it was cold outside.
Use offer code yes, yes, 3 HAs for 15% off your first order. And our Sickos hat showcase, we just had beautiful UMass and Mississippi State hats. Those are 25% off using offer code yes, yes. And all of the old hats are still up there too. This week, I'm going to post a big thread with all the hats we still have available. So folks, if you want to jump on that right now.
I'm still looking at one for this week. I haven't been able to find a matchup yet, which I have to go through all that to figure out what hats they have and what hats we already have on there, and then find a matchup where I can get 2 more added. I have not been able to find one yet, but I'm going to keep searching, and we should have another one.
Credit Karma makes building your credit straightforward and stress-free with help from our credit builder. Sign up today at creditkarma.com and start enhancing your financial health. Credit Karma, your partner in building a brighter financial future. Credit Builder plan is serviced by Credit Karma Credit Builder and requires a line of credit and savings account provided by Cross River Bank, member FDIC.
Forget one-size-fits-all diets. With Noom, you get a personalized weight loss plan that's tailored to your lifestyle. Have cravings? Food FOMO? Noom can help you lose weight while still enjoying your favorite foods. Noom's users love the flexible approach, blending psychology and biology to help you lose weight in a way that's sustainable for you. Plus, you can rest assured Noom's approach is grounded in science. They've published more than 30 peer-reviewed scientific articles describing their methods and effectiveness. Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com.
We jump back to our games. We have Toledo at Eastern Michigan. Toledo 29, Eastern Michigan 28. Eastern, with your shielder on it, baby.
With your sword or on it. We want kebabs on this podcast.
Well, Eastern Michigan got kebabbed. They hit a Hail Mary at the end to get it within 1. They go for 2, don't want to take it to OT, and they don't get it.
Hero.
I thought the 2-point conversion, they ran the oop-de-oop.
They did.
From Varsity Blues. They put 4 up at the top, and then they had isolated, and the pass was there, and the Toledo quarterback just basically
Eastern quarterback.
Perfect. No, the Toledo cornerback.
Cornerback, sorry.
Corner. The pass was perfectly placed, and the cornerback just basically timed the swipe down, and I thought it was complete at first, and then I saw the ball roll around on the gray turf, and I was like, "Oh, I thought Eastern had won it, but it was so close." This game was supreme action. Like there was nothing happening. Then the second half happened, and you're like, "What the hell just happened?" It was nuts. The first half, nothing going on. No, all of a sudden it was like action. Here we go.
Want to send a shout out to the Toledo family. Toledo LB Jeremiah Peters collapsed on the sideline, not playing. Had the ambulance come out, got him to the hospital. Apparently, he's FaceTimed with head coach Jason Candle. I'm not sure if he's in the hospital still yet. I can't figure that out. But apparently, he is at least alert and being monitored. So that's good. Second scary ambulance thing I saw on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo 41, Akron 30. Akron was down 38-7 to Buffalo at the end of the third, and then rattled off three straight TDs to get it 38-30. So close, Akron. So close on this one.
I don't know. Like Akron has, like I said, they don't stop fighting. Like no matter what the situation is, the Zips are gonna keep fighting and keep coming, which is like Peatland Buffalo had them. Like it's 38-7. Like why? Like you just roll over. Zips.
Right.
Zips would not, and they fought.
You know, a team that was down in the 30s to single digits that felt like they didn't, keep fighting.
No, there's, man, the Zips still fought, and they just, I mean, you dig yourself a 38-7 hole. It's pretty tough to get out of that.
Arizona State 42, Oklahoma State 21. This one got rain delayed slightly. A couple of hours.
Like I lost it on, I was like, I forgot it was going on because it went away. And then like when you put a game in the weather delay, like you're just like, okay, take that off of the screen and put another game on. And then you're like, okay, you try to monitor the timeline to see when it's coming back. And you're like, is it coming back? And then this one got lost for me. I all of a sudden, like I got a highlight. I was like, oh, Cam Skattebo scored another touchdown.
Commish, give us some Cam Skattebo facts from this game.
All right, Cam Skattebo facts.
Facts.
Our Minecraft man, bowling ball man. Cam Skattebo, 23 carries, 153 yards, and 1 touchdown. He also had 121 yards receiving with 2 touchdowns. Cam Skattebo, 27 touches, 274 total yards, and 3 touchdowns. Jesus. Oklahoma State, 271 total yards. Cam Skattebo outgained Oklahoma State by himself, 274 to 271. Also, Skattebo and Oklahoma State were tied in touchdown amount at 21-21.
Oklahoma State has dropped to 0-6 in the Big 12.
When do we start having a conversation about Mike Gundy?
I don't think we're there.
I think he gets to leave that job when he wants to.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So I guess the question that I'm asking right now is when do we start having the conversation about having the conversation?
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I don't think there's any coach really that gets to leave the job on their own terms 100%, right? Obviously, there are coaches who have done that because they've done it before it became a time where they had to. But I don't think there's any coach that, like, once you get to a point where you're really the performance is terrible, that you wouldn't eventually get there. I would be surprised if it was this year for Mike Gundy, but also I don't get the sense that he's the kind of guy that I'm going to have a great read on when he's going to decide to hang it up. Like, I don't think he's someone that I'm going to be able to,
this is going to be a we flush the staff year.
Man, like I have no idea what the end game looks like for Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State. Like, he's been there longer than I've even been following college football.
Mm-hmm.
He has this weird, like, 5-year rollover contract. Like, it just keeps.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's this weird lifetime thing or whatever. He's been there forever. Like, he was a quarterback with Barry Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been in Stillwater forever.
He's been head coach there for 20 years. This is his 20th season.
Yeah, it's him and Kirk Ferentz for the longest tenured coaches in FBS, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened this year for Oklahoma State. It feels like they can't keep their quarterback healthy. Then they're relying on, like, Bowman, and they're like, they don't want to. I don't know. It's something that's not. we'll see. I mean, it could just be an off year because I mean, this is probably one of the worst years in his tenure. So I have no idea. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Other Big 12 action: Arizona 12, UCF 56. To the moon, Wildcats. To the
Never
moon.
play Space UCF. Never do it. UCF is 8-0 all time in space games. 2017 versus East Carolina, 63-21 they won.
Jesus.
2018 versus Temple, they won 52-40. 2019, they beat Houston 44-29. 2020,
Disrespect.
2020, they beat Tulane 51-34. 2021, they beat Memphis 24-7. 2022, they beat Temple 70-13. 2023, they beat number 15 Oklahoma State 45-3. And then this year, they beat Arizona 56-12.
I just want to let the listeners know that in the show notes, until just now, it said 2025 versus Arizona because linear time is a mistake.
I copied a tweet from Sidelines UCF, and I did not realize it was wrong until I started rattling through that.
Old Dominion 20, App State 28. I dare any of you on this podcast to tell me anything that happened in this game.
I did not watch this game. I know nothing.
Quad box. ODU turned it over 4 times.
Okay.
Yeah, three INTs and a fumble.
But this is our Spinach Game of the Week for the FBS.
It's our Spinach Game of the Week for ODU. ODU Spinach Team of the Week FBS version. ODU, again, probably should have won this game because they had 498 yards of offense. And they only got 20 points. Those 4 turnovers really hurt. Like, they were, like, back-breaking turnovers. Like, just... You know, there's turnovers. You're like, okay, it's the first play of the drive, but it's just like, hey, I'm driving, I'm gonna get some points, and then none. Just like the worst possible time to have an interception. Yeah, 498 total yards of offense. App had 402, I think, and so they outgained them by like 100, and they lost by 8 because of those 4 turnovers. So congrats, ODU, the FBS Spinach Game of the Week.
Navy 10, Rice 24. Guys, this one saved us.
Yep.
Thank God for this game. This game starts late, gets weather delayed several times, gets halted for real in the first quarter with about 6 minutes left, and then after a 5-hour weather delay, starts again.
This one is funny as hell because like Rice kept getting delayed, but like Houston resumed, and they're only like 5 miles apart.
Yeah.
So it's just like they were like, Rice, no. Houston like, okay, you can start again. And like Houston was able to finish before Rice was even essentially able to resume because these stadiums are so close. It's so ridiculous.
We do have to remember that Rice's stadium is very, very old and the upper deck is not condemned. Maybe condemned.
Oh, you said condemned last time. They don't use it. Let's say they don't use it.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't
need to use it.
If
we had a follower that drove 90 minutes to watch the last 3 quarters of this game when he realized that it was just like over.
Hero.
Him and all 20 people that were in the stands at this point. The Rice Mob Band played a little concert with Concourse. Good. Thank you, Mob.
What was it? The Chick-fil-A thing? Where's the Chick-fil-A tweet that I had? Hold on.
While Commish looks for that, I want to take a moment also to appreciate the guys who were on the broadcast at the end of this game for acknowledging that they were the only game left on cable.
That's right. And Rice was doing the same thing. So like Rice, I don't think Rice followed us until like this evening after this game. Like they started following us, and I'm like, yeah, we're here, Rice. We're here with you. We've been here with you, Rice. We are watching. Rice interim coach Pete Alomar says the team bought all of the Chick-fil-A concession stands Chick-fil-A sandwiches to help keep food in the team system during the 5 hours and 6 minutes of weather delay.
Not the FBS record for weather delays. That was last year, which was like 5:30 something. So this was close.
It was close, but Rice eating chicken.
Okay, your metaphor here sucked. Because water expanding Rice makes sense, but Navy also does well in water. But I guess if Navy has too much water, it's bad. I don't know.
I mean, I assume at some point Rice can become soggy.
I don't even have that. Whose metaphor is that? That wasn't mine.
That wasn't yours? Okay, I don't know who that was.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. But I mean, it was just like
Do we have a
rice
ghost in the
expands in
show
water.
notes?
I don't.
Oh, it was something on the timeline. We have a ghost in the timeline, but I've always said we do.
Okay, sure. I said that like rice like expands in water, but like if the rice is in the water and so is the Navy or something like that. I don't like the Navy, got rice in their water. I have no idea. Whatever. It doesn't.
Congratulations to the Navy for losing to food.
Rice gets the interim coach bounce here.
Hey,
They do?
hey.
This is why this worked. Interim coaches undefeated. Not true, but feels that way. Ole Miss 63, Arkansas 31. Oh man. I just posted a GIF of bacon frying and someone was like, haha, very original. Look, man, do you want me to go into more detail about how they're cooking your ass? Or do you want just like the throwaway joke? Because I can go into more detail about how Ole Miss cooked your ass, Arkansas. I just didn't feel the need to. This is the one where Jackson Dart threw an interception that landed, or not an interception, a bad pass that landed in Lane Kiffin's hands. And Lane Kiffin takes the ball and just hurls it in the opposite direction. Theoretically going for a ref, but that pass was high, Lane. It was a high pass. And then after that, Ole Miss just mowed them over. 700 yards for Ole Miss, real close to it. 0 interceptions. 560 yards in the air. That's 16.5 yards a pass.
Lane, this seems excessive. What did Arkansas do?
I don't know. Like, just Ole Miss was just furious, and I was like, I don't even know like what. I mean, I expected something a little bit closer, but like, Ole Miss was on the road, right?
Yeah,
this is like
Ole Miss hadn't won in Fayetteville in forever.
Mm-hmm.
They showed up and
they had lost the last like 10 straight or something insane like that.
Something wild.
Yeah, they mentioned it on our favorite NFL podcast, Split Dome Duo, but I do not remember the exact statistic. So
yeah, I don't even know what happened here, but Ole Miss just blew the crap out of them, and we don't post original jokes here. We're not funny.
I mean, hey, Arkansas fans, next time y'all go down big, I'm happy to have a dissection of why you're down. I'm happy to do that if you want me to. We don't punch down, but I feel like Arkansas is not that direction.
Arkansas is very much punching sideways.
It's a lateral move, yeah.
Yeah, we're just going.
UCLA 27, Nebraska 20. Nebraska. They're at 5-4, and the truck is stalling on the railroad tracks, and everyone's starting to panic. Because I can hear a whistle coming.
The only thing I saw about this game, because of what time it was on at, was our dear friend Andrew, the corn correspondent, going, guess what? Nebraska lost another game. Another one possession game. And oh man, I'm sorry. That's rough, buddy.
So like this one is just like, okay. And I'm watching this game. I have this game on my tablet the entire time. And I'm like, I'm watching this and I'm like, okay, like, come on, Nebraska, you can do it. There was somebody that tweeted that we beveled like UConn on Friday. Is like, man, that Nebraska bowl eligible bevel is gonna hit so hard the next day. And like after, and I just replied, I put fingers crossed. And UCLA goes down the field. They have to settle for a field goal. I'm like, okay, it's 3-0. Nebraska come back. Nebraska does nothing. Now it's 10-0 UCLA. I'm like, oh God, here we go. And then Nebraska throws a pick six to start the second half.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, you're not going to do this. And then Nebraska does, they're down 27. I think it's down 27-7 at this point. And I'm like, okay, Nebraska, you could do this. Get right. So that they finally, I mean, they just kept shooting themselves in the foot over and over and over. And I'm like, okay, they make it 27-14. Like they fail inside the 10, like on fourth down, inside the red zone on fourth down twice. And then they finally make it 27-14. Then they finally make it 27-20, but then they missed the extra point. And I'm like, oh, this is not happening. Now it's 27-20. It's not happening.
Yeah.
And then like the worst possible interception occurs to seal the game for him. Basically, the wide receiver for Nebraska goes up for the pass and has the hands on the ball. At the same time, the UCLA cornerback, like they collide at the same time trying to catch the ball, like both at the point of the catch. The ball then the receiver for Nebraska falls onto his back after the hit, which the ball then bounces off of the Nebraska's wide receiver's knee, and then another UCLA cornerback catches it for the game-sealing interception. And I was like, this is just, I don't know what you got to do. We got to exercise these corn demons. Like there needs to be something to be done. I don't know what needs to be done, but
pick one win here at USC, Wisconsin at home, at Iowa.
USC.
At USC?
Yeah. I mean, so I don't want to like make this all about me or something, but man, like I've been sitting on a bit for weeks now as Nebraska has sat at 5 wins, and man, like I want to be able to get that off, you know.
Let him get the bit.
Yeah.
I do legitimately think that USC is the most winnable game in the rest of their schedule. Maybe Wisconsin, but it's at Wisconsin. So
No,
Well,
no, it's not at Wisconsin. Okay, maybe Wisconsin, but I think USC first, probably.
I kind of think they need to do it on the road. I don't think they need the home crowd. I feel like the home crowd is a bowl of anxiety. They got a bye week coming up, and then they play at USC. They need to do it on the road.
Issue, at least
they need to do it on the road. They have to do it on the road, and they just cannot have the fan anxiety. I just feel like that's affecting the team, but it's understandable because the fans are anxious and they're like, it's just hanging on 2016 in their heads. And I mean, I don't know what you got to do.
Also, I think body clock is it's still an issue, but it is less of an issue when you're westbound.
Yeah.
Eastbound is what sucks really bad because
Well,
like
then
if they get a West Coast noon game that's 2 p.m. their time, which they're not going to get a West Coast noon game, like or you know what I mean.
But I mean, even like without the clocks, just being on a plane for that amount of time, like that does take something out of you.
Yeah.
Georgia State 27, UConn 34. Bowl eligible UConn 6-1 home this year. I did fuck up. I did say they started with 3 straight road games. They did not. They had Merrimack in there early, so they had basically away, home, away, 6 home games, and then 3 away games to finish out the year.
Shout out to the UConn fans that tried to rush the field with like bowling pins on their head.
Oh,
like the pinhead.
We will arrest you.
The UConn was like, don't you dare rush the field.
The cops were way out.
UConn hates fun. You heard it here first.
It's funny to think about like UConn being that school. Although I guess like, I mean, I don't really know if like how accurate Connecticut stereotypes are, especially involving UConn, since UConn is not really in the part of Connecticut that people probably have Connecticut stereotypes about. But I would say like, you know, you better keep off my lawn does feel like very suburban HOA type feel.
It does.
It's interesting that UConn would be a place that is like super against rushing the field because like that is their stadium. It's not one of the like I totally would understand a lot more at a stadium where it's like, oh, like we're not even like at Pitt, right? Where it's like, man, like, you know, we have to deal with the Steelers and like all sorts of things, you know. Like I hope that the San Diego State field, like they don't need any more people on that field than they already got, you know. But like UConn
on the sidelines, not on the field.
Yeah, like UConn, like I feel like I don't know, maybe there's other tenants in that stadium, but it's just kind of funny that would be a place that they would say like, yeah, putting our foot down.
I'm happy for UConn. Again, bowl eligible for
2 of the last 3 years.
2 of the last 3 years. Big win. They did great on their homestand. Like they had 6 straight games at home and they won 5 of them. Or did they win them all?
No,
they won 5 out of 6.
They dropped the Wake game.
Yeah, the Wake one with the slow mesh really was messing with them.
And here's the thing. The last 3 games, UAB, Syracuse, Massachusetts, they can win 2 of those.
For sure.
So we're talking like 8-win UConn, which
Could
Hey,
be
that's
8-win UConn, maybe 9-win if they pull an upset on Q's.
UNC 35, Florida State 11. Not much to say except Florida State, no bueno.
I would like to know how Florida State got to 11.
I
Oh,
think it was
it
a touchdown
was
and a 2-point conversion.
yeah,
Plus a
Okay.
field
it
goal.
was eight and a field goal, I believe.
It was
Okay.
not. It was nothing like.
Of course, it's not because this Florida State team can't be fun.
They're not capable of being interesting, but I thought I would ask.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was a touchdown 2-point conversion. It was 21-3, and then Florida State scored a touchdown to make it 21-11. So they made it a 10-point game, and then they just could not do anything after that.
Minnesota 25, Illinois 17. Gophers have gone to bowl eligibility. Rolling the bowl.
Rolling the bowl. Shout out to this game. This game again. The Illigov delivered.
Mhm.
It definitely did, because every highlight I got from this game was nothing but like a bruising Big Ten West run. Like there was no nonsense. And they were just like, we're just gonna run the freaking ball right on your face, and that was it. It was great. Minnesota pulled it off, and a big win for PJ Fleck, because I mean, last year they were 5-7. They went to a bowl game. It was kind of down and down the dumps, but I mean, Minnesota has bounced back pretty good this year, and they're a solid Big Ten team. Which, I mean, they're bowling, so I'm happy for the Gophers and the Gophers fans.
They are 6th in the Big Ten right now, which is a wild statement at 4-2, but that's what it is. That's hey, giant ass conferences, just lots of mush in the middle.
That's right.
Okay. Hit 25, SMU 48. Do you want me to go first, Pitt Girl, or do you want to go first?
I think you should go first.
Okay. I had a great time. SMU, thank you for hosting me. It was wonderful. They set me down next to friends of the program, Shahan Jaraja and Chris Vanini, who were absolutely slumming it sitting next to me. Shahan had never seen me or met me before, so when I told him who I was, I was like, I'm going to sit next to you. I'm sorry you have to sit next to me. I feel like you're real media, and I'm not. It was great because, you know, they're very obviously writers for large publications, Shahan for CBS, Chris for The Athletic, and it's like me sitting there, they're like typing out their stuff at halftime, making sure, and I'm sitting there eating Rudy's bread, like banana pudding and drinking a Diet Coke, just tweeting at y'all. So it was great. Thank you also to Diamond M 1990 on Blue Sky. Great tailgating setup. Pitt Girl, thank you for hooking me up with her. Seth got to watch the end of the Texas Tech game with her Texas Tech husband. Diamond M is a former SMU band person. She was in the band in the early 90s at SMU for the really bad years.
Ooh, our people.
Right. So she has seen lots of bad football and is happy to be there. The Boulevard is a great place to go tailgate. Yelled Hail to Pitt at many Pitt fans. There we go. Everything went wrong for Pitt.
Yeah. So
it just melted down. It was just not there.
It really did. And I should have known that it was not going to go well, because I had decided there are a group of Pitt Twitter people who live in scenic Cap Region, Pennsylvania, which is where I live. And we had decided to finally have a meetup and watch this game. And we have our meetup at the local Primanti's, because there is one here. And I get there and I go in and I sit down and I ask the waitress to get the game on. And someone had called ahead to check and make sure they have ACC network and the whole 9 yards. We asked them to try and get the game on the TV by the table. And the TV was like so broken. Like so broken. It was going from black screen to screensaver to no signal to eventually they got the game on, and then it went back to black screen to screensaver to no signal. And they also are that this particular Primanti's is existing in the same space as many, many bars where there's only one guy who knows how all the TVs work.
Okay.
And so we did not even get to see this game on a screen that was not someone's phone until like mid first quarter, and things were already not going well. So all of that to say, shout out to friends of the show at John Cangelosi and at Big Game Panther, Scenic Central PA residents, for a good time, even though the game was not good. But I think the real undefeated season is the friends we made along the way. And we're still ranked.
I'm a big fan of John Cangelosi, like the name. I mean, because it's a perfect like Pirates baseball player, and then you have like the JAWN.
Mm-hmm.
Just amazing. Phenomenal Pittsburgh reference levels there.
This was just an absolute beatdown. It was 31-3 at the half. It felt like way more than that.
It felt like so much more than that. Someone who knows ball, several people who know ball better than I do, but I think they're right. Having sort of just eye tested this without knowing ball, think that Cal figured our shit out on offense, and everybody has watched the tape from the Cal game, and now we just can't do anything. And like the offense did not look good against Syracuse either, but the defense scored 21 points, so who cares? Right? So yeah, that's sort of where we're at. Also, SMU's good. Like, I think some of this is also just that SMU is good. So good for them.
SMU had 8 wide receivers get catches, and they were without their top target. So this was, yeah.
SMU now is they control their own destiny, so to speak, in the ACC, right? Because they have not lost a conference game. And, they obviously took down Pitt, who also had not lost a conference game. There was another ACC game that happened this week that an undefeated in-conference team lost. So now, it's pretty simple now, right? We talked about the Big Ten's a mess. The ACC was kind of messy until now. It's simple. SMU is 5-0 in conference, and Miami is 5-0 in conference. And, when you look at who these teams play, SMU hosts Boston College and Cal, and they go to Virginia. So
feels good.
All 3 of those teams are 4-4. Cal is probably their hardest game there. Just because it feels like they're probably a little better than their record. And then Miami, they are playing Georgia Tech on the road. They're hosting Wake Forest, and they're going to Syracuse. So, Syracuse is 6-2. They got to win. That game's in the Carrier Dome. But, that feels like a schedule where this week everything kind of shifted into focus, and suddenly we know who we're going to see in all likelihood in the ACC championship game.
SMU cornerback AJ Davis goes down with a huge injury right at the end of the first half.
That was really scary.
Had to be cut out of his jersey, taken. It was all precautionary. He was back on the sideline by the end of the game.
Oh, that's good.
So he was back just in street clothes by the end of the game. So it was fine. But yeah, it was good. I really like that. That was a good game. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for hosting us. Hopefully I'll be back for the Cal game. Virginia Tech 31, Syracuse 38. Cuse comes back down from 21-3. I thought Virginia Tech had figured this shit out, but apparently not. This ended up going to OT. Nope. ULM 23, Marshall 28. Do we want to talk about the ULM the line coach?
Yeah, so the offensive line coach, it was the situation, it went viral. So, ULM had to make a statement. ULM's head coach had to make a statement. The player made a statement, and the offensive line coach made a statement too, all this evening. So like ULM was mentioned, but in a bad way, the coach lost his mind. Whatever occurred, everybody saw. It was not appropriate. They have apologized. The coach and the player have made public statements being okay with each other. I don't know what type of discipline is going to happen. I talked to Dusty from Warhawk Report because he went up to Huntington to the game. And he said basically the incident occurred in the third quarter where ULM had to use the second timeout early in the second half to avoid another illegal substitution penalty. So this was the second illegal substitution penalty. Does this give the right for this coach to go berserk? No. So just giving context for what occurred, because I was curious, because every time I turned on the ULM game, Marshall scored a touchdown. So I couldn't even keep it in the quad box. I was just like, so mad. So, basically I, got the information from Dusty, and the most important thing is, again, they're going to handle this internally. They've made their public statements. Everything seems to be okay. They understand it was not appropriate. Shout out to number 3 on the team for actually separating the coach and the player, along with number 10 for doing that, because, again, that is not appropriate behavior. And, again, the head coach takes responsibility for that, too. And what you can see the head coach in the clip, like, hey, calm down. And it's just like, that coach was just in such a rage. Like, I felt like you almost would have to like tranquilize him to stop him at that point.
Yeah,
But,
it was big feelings, as I would say to my child.
not good. Not good at all. And so again, if we want to talk about like Dusty himself, I told him to go to Tudor's Biscuit World. He got the Mary B, which was the bacon, egg, and cheese. He said everything was perfect. What stopped it from being like a perfect sandwich itself, he said the egg was not as good as he hoped.
I heard you have to get the scrambled egg.
Okay. So there may have been like a secret type of egg that we didn't know about, which I was unaware. It's kind of like when I went to In-N-Out the first time, I was like, this is it? I'm like, oh, this is a secret menu. Okay, now it's better.
Yeah, you got to get the animal style fries.
We're still working on getting Tudors to notice us so they can make a biscuit sandwich that Beth can eat, which is all the meats, a hash brown, and cheese, no egg.
Sickos committee. We have
somebody
the
like
meats.
replied is like, hey, here's all your menus of this. There was like one that was like a pepperoni roll for breakfast.
Yeah, no, I want all the meats.
All of the meats.
We have the meats.
All of them. As for the game, ULM and Marshall, ULM grinded out 2 drives. There was a 13-play, 39-yard drive that took 8 minutes and 36 seconds, but they missed the field goal. That was not the longest non-scoring drive of the week. Thank you, USC, for beating that by 2 seconds. They grounded out another. They settled and made for a field goal. It was 17-14. I'm like, okay, maybe they can do this. 2 plays later on the next drive, Marshall went 75 yards for a touchdown, 21-17. It was just like, with the confluence of all of that happening in the third quarter with the sideline thing, I don't know. And then Marshall got another touchdown. ULM scored late, couldn't get the onside. I mean, it's going to look like ULM is going to wind up like 5-5 going to Jonesboro and needing that win to get the bowl eligibility.
Oh, God.
So
No,
unless they can pull off a win against Texas State this weekend back home in Monroe.
San Diego State 24, Boise State 56. It's driving me absolutely crazy that people saying that Ashton Jeanty had a down game at 149 rushing yards and 2 TDs. Literally, San Diego State pulled the UNLV thing of putting everyone in the box. And then you know what happened? Maddox Madsen threw for 307 yards. Like, yes, that's what's happening now.
I feel like this is what the Mountain West teams are doing, and they're all colluding to not allow Ashton Jeanty to get the Heisman. I feel like all the Mountain West teams are doing this because I saw a Wyoming fan that follows us says that this is what you got to do. You put everybody in the box, but then you get killed. So just to basically stop Jeanty from winning the Heisman, they're going to sell out against the run and don't care if they get killed in play action.
Okay. Hey, you know what? If that's how you want to roll with that, that's on you. That's fine.
I was like, that's what it feels like they're doing because I don't know, man. It's just like if you're gearing up to stop them, and it's like you can't stop them with an 8-man box, and you got like 10-man box, like you're playing like the 1985 Bears 46 front.
Yep.
And you only got like one safety back, and that's it, and you're getting lit up.
Air Force 3, Army 20. Bryson Daly goes out, is out with an unspecified illness. Army intelligence does not let this out until game time. Lots of people who had financial considerations this game very unhappy with that information, by the way.
Top secret injury information.
Did you see that Navy's football account tweeted out, "I don't care about your betting. I will instant block you." It was great.
Go off,
Good.
Navy football
Go off,
admin.
Navy.
King or queen shit. Yes, more people, more football accounts should be tweeting shit like this.
I just don't
fuck your parlay.
We will talk about an over and under if it's interesting, but we're not gamblers here. We don't promote gambling. It's just and then Navy just went off. I was like, no, we don't care. I was like, I don't know, whatever. It's fine. If you like doing it, fine. We're not your source for it. So
the folks over at Split Zone Duo said that 20-3 in a armed forces versus armed forces game is basically 90-7 in a regular game. This is a blowout basically for service academies, 20-3.
Army just kept running the ball up the gut on the option, and then they just slowly broke Air Force, which I kind of remember when ULM played Army, and they were just they just kept slamming the giant fullback in your face.
Yep.
In the second half, and it was ULM broke, and they're that's what feels like Air Force broke. And Air Force did throw an interception. They had 2 picks. They were forcing Air Force to pass. That's how you know it's a blowout.
Hopefully we get Bryson Daly back next week.
Hopefully. I don't know what type of injury it is, but hopefully
it was an illness, they said.
Yeah.
Duke 31, Miami 53. This is a lie.
Yeah,
Duke was
this is a
close.
lie. Yes, this was close. I watched a sizable chunk of this game too. This game was closer until like late third quarter, early fourth quarter, and like it was. I will be on Miami fraud watch until and unless they win the national championship.
And even then, I feel like you might not give it to them.
I might not. I might not. I'm Miami skeptical. Cam Ward's really good. Cam Ward is really good. He's the real deal, but I'm still Miami skeptical.
I mean, you can keep saying about Miami Fraud Watch because, you know, I don't think there's really like one shining team that is just obliterate everybody.
No, you're
in college
absolutely
football.
No,
So,
there isn't, but
there's a lot of like fraudulent or Achilles heels of teams. There's flaws. You want to call them a fraud? It's just that they've been able to pull off wins when they probably shouldn't have.
I mean,
and
there is one non-fraudulent team in college football right now, and their name is Indiana.
I mean, I don't know. I just think it's funny when people talk about like fraudulence, right? Like, because I feel like fraudulence implies like you're misrepresenting yourself, like you're doing FTX or whatever. And it just is funny to me whenever anyone says that about a team or a player, because I feel like, yes, like teams will try to talk themselves up. Like that's part of your SID's job. But at the same time, it's like the number one thing you're doing is like your results on the field. But like, I feel like fraud has to have like some malicious thing. Like it would have to be like Miami be like, we're intentionally winning all of these games to like screw
To
over
fool you.
investors or
That's right.
something. If you
That's
look
right.
at who Miami's beaten, right? I'm just going to read off all these teams real quick. Florida A&M, Ball State, South Florida, Virginia Tech, Cal, Louisville, Florida State, and now Duke. Like Louisville's probably the best team.
Yeah, they've
Yeah,
beaten
that's-
1.5 good teams there.
But I mean, that's like there's a lot of teams in college football this year, it feels like, that just have seasons like this. And I guess even if the ACC like still had divisions, you know, like the ACC Coastal was not necessarily sending the best. But so we can't necessarily blame the realignment there. But, you know, you're not going to have a big game till the conference championship. And then that's your big game. And, you know, that's your season.
Their next game is going to be fun. They play Georgia Tech next. Let's see how they handle that after what occurred last year in that Georgia Tech game. I want to give a shout out to Manny Diaz, Philosophy Major.
Yes.
You know, I'm a big fan of, let me see if I got this right here. Heraclitus.
No, I like Heraclitus better, but go ahead.
Heraclitus. Okay. He quoted the ancient Greek pre-Socratic philosopher. So like before Socrates.
That's a precursor.
He said, there's a great saying, no man crosses the same river twice before. He's not the same man, and it's not the same river. And that's really the way I look at it on his return back to Miami. So the central ideas of Heraclitus. I can't even say it now because you messed me up.
I think it may actually be Heraclitus.
Okay, whatever. This is what Google said, but whatever. Heraclitus.
Heraclitus, you get in here.
Heraclitus. Striker for Bayern Munich.
Heraclitus?
Heraclitus. Is basically the philosophy is the unity of opposites and the concept of change. He also saw harmony and justice and strife. He viewed the world as constantly in flux, always becoming, but never being. Little is known of his life. He wrote a single work, and only fragments have survived, cataloged under the philosopher number 22. Just I love he's just like, I've had to. Manny Diaz took philosophy 101 at Duke in the summer.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And he's following these Instagram quotes, guaranteed.
Philosophy 101, like, you know, hit the blunt, go to philosophy class, expand your mind.
Look, I mean,
Good
I
for
was
you,
trying
Manny.
to. I took that class at ULM, and I was like, dude, how do I make this my life? Like, how do I turn my life into a philosophy major and make money? And I could never solve that problem.
Actually, lots of pre-law students are philosophy majors.
You get a PhD and become a teacher of philosophy.
They use
Yeah,
just philosophy to people.
you get a PhD and you become a philosophy professor, or you do pre-law and you become a lawyer. That's how you make money with a philosophy degree. And I say this as someone who had 2 majors at Pitt, and one of them was political science, specifically political theory, which is like, what if philosophy was simultaneously more and less useful?
Memphis 36, UTSA 44. Memphis, your luck has run out. Their wide receiver injured themselves with a celebration. He jumped in the air and his knee just like buckled on him.
That was not good. This game was just points and points and points and points and points, and then UTSA pulled away, and it was 44-20, and then all of a sudden I blink, it's 44-36. I'm like, oh shit, are they gonna blow this?
Yeah,
But no,
it's
they still remain undefeated at home.
Next up, Indiana 47, Michigan 10. Not much to say here, except that Indiana fell behind for the first time all season, was down 10-0, and then scored 47 unanswered.
What bums?
Yeah.
What is this fraudulent betrayal in a game that you're going to win?
No. This is overcoming adversity.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
That's different. Kansas State 19, Houston 24. My jinx of the week when I guaranteed a Kansas State win. However, someone found a tweet that I posted back in September saying that Houston was basically good for knocking out one like Big 12 title.
You were just like, I bet like I'd be willing to bet money that Houston is going to knock a Big 12 title contender in November out of nowhere, and so basically you jinxed yourself.
Yeah,
or did you like cover both bases here?
Oh, this also reminds me that somebody on Twitter suggested to me that perhaps the reason that Pitt got their ass beat on Saturday is because Jordan was in attendance, but he was not wearing WVU gear.
Okay, so I have to get the Geno Smith jersey back. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because I'm struggling with something along those lines, right? Because I bought that shark costume, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the first time that I wore it for a Pitt game was Saturday night. I put the shark costume on, went downstairs, watched the game. Now I'm kind of wondering, like, maybe the shark costume's bad luck.
Yeah, I think I might need you to burn the shark costume.
The shark costume, like you didn't. I'm superstitious as hell. Like if something goes wrong for like a quarter, I'm like changing shirts. I am like whatever I got to do to change the mojo, even though I'm not playing. I am extremely like I played baseball my whole life, so I'm like extra superstitious on top of being from New Orleans. Like there is just. I have incredible amounts of superstition. And so like if something goes wrong, like I turned the ULM game on, I saw it just flashed Marshall touchdown. I was like, off.
Nope.
Immediately.
Done.
No, I'm done. I can't even do it. You got to take off the shark costume.
Texas Tech 23, Iowa State 22. Iowa State, your undefeated run has come to an end.
This game was phenomenal.
The end of this game. The end of both this game and the Houston game, actually, but this one in particular, just banger ending.
Look, this Big 12, I can't figure out the Big 12 at all. I can't do it. Iowa State, again, kind of been hanging on by a thread, this undefeated thing, and you kind of felt like it was going to happen. Iowa State fraud. No, there's no fraud watch for Iowa State. It's Iowa State. But no, it's just, again, it's a tough loss at home. Good win for Texas Tech. Bowl eligible.
Georgia Southern 34, South Alabama 30. Georgia Southern scored 20 points like they did against Marshall in the fourth quarter. I don't understand this Georgia Southern team at all, but they are bowl eligible. Georgia Southern fans are also just like, I don't fucking get this either.
I don't get it, but we're going to a bowl game.
Yeah, Clay Helton probably. Hawaii 21, Fresno State 20. Insane Hawaii comeback for the Golden Screwdriver. Like just a wild comeback here.
I still don't know how it happened. Like I'm still looking at the drive chart for the Hawaii game, and I'm like, how did Fresno not put this away? Extra points. Matt Brown was in attendance, and what a comeback!
Louisville 33, Clemson 21. Bye, Clemson. It was fun. Glad you were here.
This fourth quarter was incredibly agonizing for me to watch because it's just like, okay, everybody's like Clemson's gonna lose, and I'm like, the fourth quarter took forever. Like Dabo like milked every second out of the clock, and like And it's like, oh no, now it's 26-14. Why didn't they go for 2 to make an 11-point game? And it's like, hey, you know, like you need a touchdown instead of a touchdown field goal 2-point conversion. And he did it twice. Dabo did it twice. The thing is, like, when Louisville got the ball back, like they immediately scored a touchdown. So like Louisville was on their defense was on the field. It felt like the entire fourth quarter. And it was just like they just kept getting first down and the clock stops. And it was just like, okay, we're gonna run the ball up the middle. We're gonna run it up the middle again. And then first down. Now the clock stops. And it's just like double, like there needs to be some urgency. Like this was the most ball control urgent drives I've ever seen in my life. But shout out to Louisville for the win.
This game was really weird for me because I was not really paying attention to it, obviously, because I was out at a bar watching the Pitt game. But I went to go use the bathroom and I like walked back and there was a TV pointing the other direction that I had not been able to see from where I was sitting. And it was showing this game. And this game, it was not as close as the score makes it look.
Nope.
Louisville had a really big lead for a while. And I just look up and I'm like, what do you mean Clemson's getting their ass beat? You mean we're not the only team getting our ass beat right now? I mean, there's another one that I could see that we're about to talk about.
And Clemson was at home for this too. Like that was
Yes, they were.
really
Yeah.
what you know. Like if this had been a road game, I wouldn't have been so surprised. But Louisville going into Clemson and pulling this
Definitely,
off,
yeah. That was a shock.
Yeah.
We also got a great, basically a great TV announcing. I've rarely ever seen announcers go, that doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dabo did it twice. They were just like, I guess he just doesn't understand that 8 and 3 equals 11 instead of 12. I don't know. Dabo was just like, I refuse to. I'm just kicking an extra point. We're not going for 2. Whatever.
A&M 20, South Carolina 44. The SEC Ouroboros marches on.
This is the other ass beating I was talking about. That's all I have to say.
Yeah,
I just want to read Spencer Hall's tweet. That's it. I just want to read his tweet. It's like, you just went down by 3 scores. Finnish techno deafens you. And a man named Mudcat, who has shot 3 people in his hometown without charges being filed, is throwing a beer at you from the stands. A rooster crows forever on the PA. You are losing a game at South Carolina.
Yep. My friend, I showed that to my friend who went to South Carolina. She goes, that is accurate. USC 21, Washington 26. Ooh. USC down bad. Lincoln Riley, I bet not talking to press will fix this problem too.
You destroyed the you destroyed the Big Ten for this. I mean, they kind of did. You destroyed the Pac-12 for this.
Enjoy.
Have fun.
Florida, Georgia, Florida. Florida 20, Georgia 34.
All I want to know is like Florida, just make Georgia really angry, annoy the hell out of them, and the Gators did it.
Yeah, they did.
Sorry, Lagway getting hurt.
Florida goes down to their 3rd QB, a Yale transfer, Aiden Warner. And I want to talk about the Yale to Florida pipeline.
Man, that must have been such a weird, like, cultural experience for him.
He's from Florida. He's from
Florida. Okay.
So Yale must have been a weird cultural experience for him.
Yes. Connecticut to Florida, that's messed up.
I mean, in my experience, someone going from playing college athletics at Yale to being involved in the state of Florida is not a great thing historically, but
yeah, usually that involves the 2000 election. Can we also mention that this isn't the wildest transfer, because what's his face went from Stanford to Mississippi State. I can't remember who it was, the quarterback.
Yeah,
Stanford, Mississippi State, and that to me feels like an even bigger.
The funny part for this one is that like Florida really gets to annoy Georgia fans because DJ Lagway got hurt in the middle of the game and they were up. So now Florida fans were like, we had you if Lagway would have stayed healthy. And so that's really going to annoy Georgia fans. And they're so mad about that, but they still won the game.
Michigan ends up getting fatty-whopped by Oregon 38-17. I forgot where I put that rest of that information.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to take a second to note that last week I posited what we had seen from Michigan to make this game substantively different than the Illinois-Oregon game, and it wasn't really
100% correct.
Michigan scored a little bit more.
Yeah, but that's about all you can say. Kentucky 18, Tennessee 28. Only thing you need to know here, Tennessee scored their first half point since September.
Huh.
The last time they scored first half points was at the end of September.
That's impressive, like really impressive for them to get to where they are doing that.
Yep. This wasn't the fuck around game, but it's coming for you, Kentucky, for Tennessee.
Well,
Ohio.
they already lost to Arkansas.
Yeah. Ohio State 20, Penn State 13. Penn State, congratulations. You did the same thing you did every time. Chip Kelly was cooking for Ohio State. That was fun. Had some fun stuff out there.
There was some really entertaining stuff in the first half of this game. If you, like me, are a hate watcher, especially the fumble out of the end zone, because then we all got to engage in "this is a dumb rule" touchback discourse. I saw several good suggestions for what we should do instead of having it be a touchback. I think my favorite is that it should be a safety. We're just going to give the defense 2 points. It's fine.
Like it. Yeah, I think. Hey, you know what? That feels more emotionally correct. And lastly, I'll toss it out here. Maine 14, Oklahoma 59. Maine was up, and then they weren't.
Shout out to Maine for going to this game. This was the most fans that I've ever seen a Maine game, essentially. Like, Maine played over like 82,000 fans. So like the Maine account tweeted like, this is the biggest game they've ever played in, like the most attended game they've ever played in. And so that's cool history. Congrats to Oklahoma.
On our FCS games, very quickly, our Big Sky Bangers, Northern Arizona beats Weber State 27-6 and gets the 29.4-pound Red Rock Trophy.
That's right. They gave us a weight.
And our delightful actual nightcap, Portland State defeats Sac State 58-38 at the very end. Commish, what are our little things at the end?
So I have a Spinach Game of the Week, which is the actual one, the worst aspect here. So this is back to the Southland Conference. Nichols lost 28-12 to Stephen F. Austin, despite outgaining them 413 yards to 301 yards.
Jesus.
There is the Player of the Year that Roger tweeted and I retweeted, but it didn't get much love. But this, if we'll look at it later, but like a Lafayette was driving to try to tie Bucknell. The quarterback was getting sacked. So he saw a teammate and he throws the ball to him, but it's the left tackle. The left tackle catches it. And then he remembers that he shouldn't catch it. And he basically was like, get the ball out of my hands. And he puts it on the ground, but now that's ruled a fumble instead of just illegal touching. And so Bucknell recovers it and then they win the game.
Okay, we'll have to find video of this and clip it.
I gotta see a clip.
No, the video is right there in the tweet.
Oh,
okay.
If you have it, like it's right there.
So then I'll need to use something that I'll have to figure out some way to make this more packageable because I like this. And our clock commander,
it's amazing. Clock commander of the week. We're gonna give it to Hugh Freeze.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, he earned it.
As Arthur noted, that there is gonna be a coach that forgets about the 2-minute timeout. Congrats to Hugh Freeze. You forgot about the 2-minute timeout because he took a timeout with 2 minutes and 1 second remaining.
Jesus Christ.
To save a second.
You can't take it with you.
Well, that's especially egregious. Like, it would be one thing if you took the timeout with enough time to still like run a play.
Yeah.
Because with you taking a timeout with 2 minutes and 1 second, like you still like the 2-minute timeout still happens on the next play. Like it's not. I saw people being like, "Oh, like he wasted the 2-minute timeout." Like, I mean, like it depends on how quickly you get the ball back, right? Like, but I still think it's a waste of a timeout to just save.
So it was a third down. They stopped Vanderbilt on third down. So it was fourth down. You let the clock tick 1 more second. And then Vandy's going to punt. And then you'll have a timeout left.
You're gonna want that back.
Yeah. I think you want the timeout more than you want the single second.
Yes.
Okay, folks, that is our recap of week 10. We will be back on Tuesday night. We'll record live Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
And we'll be talking about
there's nothing else happening on Tuesday.
We'll talk about action. We'll be talking about the college football playoff rankings release. And
then the really important vote that you need to cast in the Sickos Committee poll.
Vote, kids. It's important.
That's right.